Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of our program titled Mother Talks. I'm Luqman, and today we're going to be talking about some of the most important emotional skills that we need to instill in our children for their upbringing that are going to be very important in their lives as they grow up. I have with us today our special guest, my elder sister, Ramla Luqman, and we'll be discussing these things in detail. So when we're talking about emotional skills, it's basically socialization, right? So primary socialization, it starts in the family where the parents instill certain behavioral patterns inside their children according to their culture, beliefs, and religions. As Muslims, of course, we adhere to the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and how to raise our children. At this stage is very important for our children because what they learn now, it's going to become a part of their personality in their later lives. So when we talk about emotions, empathy is a very natural and primitive emotion, and it's basically considering others in your social group.
Yes, empathy is basically trying to understand others' feelings and by putting yourself in their place. And in order to instill into our children this social and emotional skill, we need to practice it first and demonstrate it in front of them so that it results in their personality. And also, it's a scientific fact that however we act in front of our children, it's going to invoke the same response into their personality. So that's how it becomes part of their life, as you emphasized upon this before in your introduction.
When we instill empathy, when we try to teach a child empathy, when we try to sympathize, it's like we're forming a connection with them, okay, so that they can understand where we're coming from. In turn, we can tell them where they're coming from, right?
Of course, empathy leads to connection as well, connecting with your child, and it promises a strong bond between the parents and the children. And in order to understand empathy much more, we are going to look at two examples. One example from the life of Prophet ﷺ, and one example from our day-to-day lives. So first of all, let's come to the example of Prophet ﷺ, how he connected with children. Of course, there are thousands of examples how he was kind to the children and how he was kind to his companions. And Islam spread, of course, through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, of course. But also, Prophet ﷺ played a big role with regards to his attitude. And he won people's hearts. Mostly people say that Islam spread by the sword. That's ridiculous. Prophet ﷺ won his companions' hearts, won the hearts of everyone, because he is rahmatul lil alameen.
With empathy, right? So this is...
And with empathy.
Yeah.
And so, it's a very important thing in Islam. So let's come to that example. Prophet ﷺ's servant, Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu anhu, he happened to have a little brother. His name was Abu Umair. So Prophet ﷺ used to meet Abu Umair frequently, and whenever he met the child, he would say, "Oh Abu Umair, what about your pet bird, An-Nughair?" And Prophet ﷺ used to call the child's pet bird as An-Nughair, which means nightingale in Arabic. And that was to build a strong connection with the child.
With something that the child liked to talk about.
And the child liked his pet bird, so it was something that Prophet ﷺ could talk to with the child. So one day, Prophet ﷺ saw him crying and he asked, "What happened?" And Abu Umair said that his pet bird had died. So Prophet ﷺ consoled him and indulged in other activities to distract the child. And this shows how he connected with the child by talking about things that the child liked. And that led to a strong bond between them. So let's look at another example from our day-to-day lives. Suppose two children are playing. One is a 6-month-old baby boy and the other is a 2-year-old girl. She loves to arrange her colors, to arrange things, and she's a very orderly child. So her little brother is playing nearby, who loves to swipe at things and grab things, as the children, they like to do, the babies especially. So what happens is, that he swipes at her colors and knocks them down. So she's very upset, and she says, Mama, Mama, look what Abdullah has done. He's knocked my colors down. So Mama comes into the room and she says, look, Maryam, Abdullah likes colorful things to play with, just like you do. So that's why he's knocked your colors down. Let's together put him on his colorful hanging toys playmat.
Okay.
So that he can play with his colorful toys. So Maryam helps Mama put Abdullah on his hanging toys playmat. And then Mama also helps Maryam pick up the colors and then arrange them the way that they were before. And here, Mama is demonstrating empathy by picking up her colors, by helping her. And also at the same time, she's telling Maryam that it's okay. Abdullah likes colorful things just like you do. So there's empathy happening in two ways.
So
here.
You're saying that you're trying to sympathize with your child who's upset, but at the same time, you're teaching your child to sympathize with your other child as well, who is just a baby. So so it's like a two-way connection. It's a win-win situation, actually,
mashallah.
right?
All right. So now we have talked about empathy. Let's talk about connection as well. So Mama here as well built a strong connection with Maryam by empathizing with her. And she felt very secure. She felt as if she was understood. And this is the art of bonding with other people, with children here specifically. And so
you're saying that if you have empathy with a child, you form a connection with them, you invoke empathy within them. So, and because you're being empathetic, they are learning how to be empathetic as well. So one positive response leads to another positive reaction, which just keeps on leading to other positive.
And another important thing here is that we need to set limits to empathy as well. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set limits. He's laid down rules where we are advised to be empathetic, but in many other situations we are not. Like, for example, in the Western society, the parents, they allow their children to marry out of wedlock, and it's inappropriate and not allowed even in the Christian religion, just like in Islam. And they haven't laid down their rules. They're like, okay, we'll be empathetic here. We'll be empathetic with our children. Give them the free hand of doing whatever they want to do. And this spoils the children. So we need to set limits too, to some extent, wherever Allah's laws apply.
Because children are children. They don't they could exploit you. They could exploit your good reaction to get what they want.
Exactly. And if you keep giving them and keep being empathetic to them all the time, it's going to be, of course, they're going to manipulate you and take advantage of that, and it's going to be a habitual cycle and circuit.
So you're saying that, in other words, you're just trying to set limits here. Okay, in a good way, not by being harsh, not by screaming or shouting, but by trying to make the child understand that if they react a certain way, they can get what they want, but at the same time, they can also consider others. So, in other words, having a big heart.
Yeah, applying the rule of empathy wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed us, and not applying it wherever He has not instructed us. Suppose my child wants to have a boyfriend when they grow up. I mean, you need to set your foot down and set limits there instead of being empathetic. However, you can deal with this situation in a very positive way by, first of all, training the child to not think about that at all, by teaching them the Prophet's teachings and all of that. But if, in some cases, this does happen, although the parents have trained their children to not do so. So the parents' healthy connection with the child here will work too. So the parents can support them in terms of their feelings, saying, look, I understand I was standing one day where you are standing right now. I was a teenager too and I had feelings, but we deal with this in this way. And tell me. Yes, I mean, we have all of these Islamic ways.
The way I see it, you're saying that when a child is making a bad decision, when they grow up, when they're growing older, they're going through a difficult phase, then at that moment, that connection you develop with them when they were kids, that empathetic connection, that understanding you develop with them helps them, because then they don't shy away from you, they don't run away from you, they try to confide in you because of their problem, and they think that you have the solution because they trust you.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Okay, so now empathy and all of this positivity and the connection, we have talked about these two social important skills. So now let's move on to the third one. Emotional social skill. That's very, very important. And I think Islam has stressed upon it too much, which is having a big heart.
Ihsan, in other words.
Ihsan, yes.
Yes.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at numerous places in the Quran, He has said, Inna Allah ma'al muhsinin, do ihsan, be good to others, be kind. And when you think about it, your soul, it's food for your soul, because a person feels really content and satisfied after doing a good deed, after doing something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the other person, bringing a smile to the other person's face, and so on and so forth. And the children, they need to learn it, and it's very important. First of all, as parents, we need to have a big heart. Unless and until we don't have it, how can we develop it into our children? And essentially, we can start teaching this emotional social skill to our child by telling her to share her candy with other children, or to share her candy with the other siblings in the family. So if you've brought candy for your children, you can get that child to distribute the candy amongst others, and they can learn how to share and have a big heart too. Like, having a big heart leads to many other emotions, many other social skills. It's like, imagine having a big heart as a full set in a Venn diagram. And there are subsets: generosity, forgiveness, doing things for others, sharing. These are all subsets.
Compromise, sacrifice, and stuff.
Yes. So now, how can you have a big heart? How can you give up whatever you like for your friend? And how can you give up your haqq, or something that you had to have, for the others? How can you do that? It's very, very difficult. Yeah. Human beings are very selfish.
Even for adults.
Even for adults, yeah. If anything is of value, a human being wants to just grab it for themselves. How can they be takers instead of givers? Like, you know, a person tends to grab everything that they love and they like, and they expect the same from others, you know, to give them the best thing. It's a very, very negative attitude, wherever you just know how to take from others instead of giving. And having a big heart means that you enlarge your heart to such an extent that you're ready to give others what you like. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it, that
you're not a believer unless you want for your brother what you want for yourself.
Exactly.
Yes, okay.
So that's a very important thing.
But how do you teach, like, we as adults understand that as a general concept, okay? Even for us it's hard, and how you instill that in a child, you know, who are very impulsive.
Yes, I know. So we can start by sharing, by the concept of sharing, by distributing a simple candy. The child can learn to share, to be negotiative with her siblings by sharing, of course. And if there are two children in a family, they have to learn to get along, they have to learn to share. The sooner they learn it, the better, right? And they eventually do learn it. But as parents as well, it's our job to instill it into them.
But if they have something, they need to make sure that someone else gets half of it, or at least some part of it.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And also, so now how can we have such a big heart? Now there are two terms that come to my mind. One is qana'a, and the other is ghina, right? Okay. Qana'a means contentment, satisfaction of whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to a person, okay? So if you have qana'a in your heart, you are satisfied, you are content, then you can, at a wedding party, if everybody's standing at the table and they just want to have platefuls and everything, at that time, qana'a comes into handy, and you can wait for the others to get their share, and then you go and get yourself a portion, and people, they will value you, they will respect you for your dignity. Because if you're just taking it like an animal, you're not going to have a respect, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like that attitude.
Patience and everything.
Patience and everything, and this leads to patience and all of these things. So also, you can have qana'a if you look at other people's situation in society and yours, and you compare yourself with the one who's below you. So a poor person has no legs and you have legs, and you are content that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. And even if you're really, really poor and going through really difficult times, when you compare yourself to that person, automatically your heart will be filled with gratitude. And qana'a does come like that. Another term that comes to my mind is ghina. And what does it mean essentially? It means that whatever situation or position you have, you are sufficient in it. You have sufficiency in that position. You are self-sufficient and only dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it links to Allah's decree that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throws challenges in your direction, you are ready to face it, and you're content on your circumstances, on your situation. So basically that's it, right? So, that you don't care about what other people have, right? You're happy with what you have. And if you want something, you ask it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also,
but in children, when you look at it that way, yes. I get it. Of course, that's a general concept. But in children, because children don't understand these concepts, right? So what you're saying is that in order for children to, somehow personify these things into their own personality, you have to instill empathy, understanding, compromise, sharing into them when they're little. So when they grow up and they start understanding these concepts, they somehow,
It starts with sharing. It starts with children giving instead of taking. When they're sharing, they're giving, right?
Okay.
So givers are better than the takers. Prophet ﷺ said that in the hadith. So all of these, how can you be givers? When you have contentment, qanaat hai jab aapke paas, when you have ghina in your heart, when you don't care about people, circumstances and situations. And our goal in this world is to have a ghina, in our lives. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are numerous hadith and ayat, there are numerous ahadith which say, I'm just sharing the concept of the hadith here, that if you focus on doing good deeds for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fill in your life the concept of ghina, wherein you will not need anything from this world. You will not give importance to it. And the world will come after you, instead of you running after the world. So that's initially the concept.
To wrap it up, one good emotion, one good response builds to another. It's a chain reaction.
Yes, it's a chain reaction.
Okay, Jazakumullahu khair. That's all for today. Thank you all for watching. Please like and share. And do not forget to subscribe our channel. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.